There is a sinister plot to bring this region into uncertainties and a war. So Iran being attacked again inside Tehran is a clear indication that only can be done by the Mossad. The intention is to keep Kamala Harris out of the White House office and bring Trump, and therefore could be a reason why he is looking for widening this war. The government of Israel is trying to drag the United States into a regional war. Killing or targeting figures does not solve the problem. So Hamas will exist as long as Israel exists. By attacking in Lebanon and Iran at the same time, he's shooting his own feet. And I think his political career is coming to an end, where the axis of resistance will join hands from Iran to Iraq to Syria to Lebanon to Gaza, even to Yemen.
So the Middle East have been burning for several months now, and today's assassination of Hamas's political bureau chief, Ismail Haniyeh, in Tehran is surely going to have a long-lasting impact over the entire situation. Now, Hamas is, of course, blaming Israel for being behind the attack, while the Israel regime is maintaining a stoic silence. But what does Haniyeh's death originally mean? How is it going to impact the hostage crisis, the Gaza war, and the larger situation in the Middle East? Joining me to decode these issues is senior journalist Dr. Waiel Awwad. Welcome to Hindustan Times, sir. Now, two things have happened. One, of course, is the assassination, and the other is the location of this targeted killing. How do you think this will pan out in the region going ahead?
Absolutely. I think you have touched the crux of the issues, not only the timing and but also the place and also the person who has been attacked. So all these issues show exactly what is the intention of the Prime Minister of Israel, Netanyahu, in continuing this war. Because, you know, when the Iranian leaders were attacked, immediately Israel retaliated against Israel. So now to choose the same place and for another target of a Palestinian leader at the time where the negotiation taking place between Hamas and Israelis officials and in Qatar and even in Rome, and shows that there is no clear intention of Netanyahu government to seriously find an ending to the war on Gaza and end this massacre and collective punishment of the Palestinians. So exactly after his trip also to the United States, meeting with Trump, which add another dimension to this war, in fact, is that the intention is to keep Kamala Harris out of the White House office and bring Trump, and therefore could be a reason why he is looking for widening this war and creating a regional war with Iran, with Syria, with Iraq and Yemen, and even the Palestinian and the Lebanese.
But to look at it, what's happening right now on the ground, do you think that the fact that this was in Tehran while a new president was being sworn in, do you think this is the final straw and now Iran will be a direct party to this war?
See, as I said, the government of Israel is trying to drag the United States into a regional war. So if you look at the scenario and the trends ever since the war on Gaza have started, it's a clear indication that there is a sinister plot to bring this region into uncertainties and a war. So Iran being attacked again inside Tehran is a clear indication that only can be done by the Mossad, by the Israeli intelligence. And he also not only attacked inside Iran, he attacked inside Hezbollah headquarters in the south of Lebanon, which is also targeted another top leader of the Lebanese resistance. So all this shows that the United States, he had some sort of a covert operation with the United States to continue this war, especially with the Republicans, and therefore he wanted to make sure that the Trump come back.
So basically, all of this is happening right after Netanyahu has just returned from the US. So that's something which is, of course, being spoken about on various social channels and Telegram and etc. We've seen a lot of that chatter coming in. But one thing is, Haniyeh has been more of a moderate figure, right? He was the person who's also leading the peace talks. So why him? Why is this attack on him then?
It's a political assassination. You know, he is a political leader. He was elected by the first president of the Palestinian Authority when he was elected with the election. in 2006. And beside, most of his family, if not more than 60 members of his family, were massacred inside Gaza by the Israeli army, by the bombardment. So he was left, he was a figure, he was sitting in Qatar, he was negotiating. So he is the political face of Hamas resistance forces. So he is seen by this, despite the fact that the Israeli feel that it is Sinwar who is leading the current war on in Gaza against the Israelis' invasion. But that's nevertheless also speak for itself that the Israelis have already made it very clear that they will target anywhere, any place, any person who attack the Israelis or cause damage to the Israeli security. So from the Israeli point of view, it's a legitimate target. For the American, it is not a legitimate target at this stage, at least publicly speaking. But they already approved such kind of an assassination, whether it is in Iran, whether it is in Lebanon. So I think that is where the message lies, that the Palestinians will continue. And remember, as long as killing or targeting figures does not solve the problem, so Hamas will exist as long as Israel exists.
Absolutely. But, Haniyeh has been someone who's been leading the hostage talks, the peace talks, and this entire the attempt at a political solution which was being looked at. So now that he has been killed, what happens to the talks? How will it go ahead? And what's the road ahead? Who can probably lead? Or how will this pan out from the Hamas side, from the Israeli side? And what happens to this?
I think there will be a halt to the talk because Israel is not serious at all, especially Netanyahu. Even the Israeli public opinion are against Netanyahu policy, where he's hardening the negotiation and hardening the Israeli position and asking for the impossible to happen. That's what, therefore, you see most of the families of the prisoners inside Hamas, they are all Israelis people, and they are asking the government to come to the negotiating table and find a solution and release their own loved one. So therefore, until now, Netanyahu is refusing bluntly, and he is not even willing to stop this war. You saw his speech at the Congress. You saw his meeting with the American. You saw his vehement kind of an attack on the Palestinian, and he is not willing to have any sort of a solution. So I think there is a tremendous pressure internally on Netanyahu's government and also externally. Even the people knows that Netanyahu's survival only when the war is still exist or extend or prolong, that his political career is stay on. But by attacking in Lebanon and Iran at the same time, he's shooting his own feet. And I think his political career is coming to an end.
So do you think now, yes, Netanyahu's political career is something that we've been speaking about for a while now. And every time we see that there is some chances of him moving out, he comes back, or there's a war or something or the other which requires him to take the onslaught ahead. But one thing that is becoming more and more clear right now, or more and more apparent, if I may say, is a full-fledged axis of resistance versus Israel sort of a war. Is that imminent now? I mean, are we looking at it? Lebanon has been needled. Iran is somewhere who's been targeted on and off. The peace leaders have been attacked. So what is going to happen?
Well, I think that attack will continue. So there's no stoppage to it. And Israel will continue its own objective inside Hamas, inside the Gaza Strip, to annihilate the whole of the region, to expel all the Palestinians and bring the...
How do you think Lebanon and Iran will react to this now?
I think there will be a reaction. There is no question about it. But everybody is also measuring the time, and they will choose the time of their own, not at the time of what Netanyahu wants, because they are already knows that America going for the elections. They know already that such kind of a provocative measure, it meant that there has to be a retaliation, and Israel in a full alert. I don't think they are going to start a full-fledged war, because there is also tremendous pressure on all the regional parties in the region. But it's such kind of an act of a terror attack on two countries, sovereign nations, I think there has to be a retaliation. And I don't think people will be sitting idle. There will be, and that is what will be the flaring up of the uncertainty and a regional war, where the axis of resistance will join hands from Iran to Iraq to Syria to Lebanon to Gaza, even to Yemen, and maybe Jordan can be dragged, because here it is, nobody is able to stop this war, despite the international pressure on Israel to stop it. Not even a single country able to do it, and that because the Israelis, always backing by the American, are refusing even any sort of a pressure. So therefore, what do you expect the region to be? How much you can allow killing in this region?
So the situation is, you're saying, almost is coming up to that old Israel war when the entire the Middle East is taking on Israel once again. And however, but the fact is that between now to November is the time you're saying. So are we going to expect some more escalation to happen between now and November when the US elections finally take place?
I think it will continue. There is no end to it because, see, if you look at the negotiations taking place, and they have gone secretly to Rome to discuss, and even in Qatar, and the pressure being applied on Hamas and to come to terms with the Israeli term, and even everybody is saying that Netanyahu is not serious at all in these talks. So America have adopted the Israeli position. Hamas is at receiving end, and they said we will not end till we see total halt of the operation and complete withdrawal of the Israelis and allowing the food aid to come into the Gaza Strip. But these are nothing happening. So I think the prolongation of this war served Netanyahu at the first place.
Thank you so much, Doctor. This is going to be a very interesting phase between now to November, and the world will have to watch out and will have to prevent any sort of provocation that may come in during this period, so as to ensure that the relative peace continues and the Middle East, which is already simmering, doesn't enter into a bloody battle again.
Thank you.
Thank you.